Welcome back, everybody, to my coverage of the first Mask comic run. If you're here from part 1, welcome back. Always good to see a familiar face, but if you're just joining us, I highly suggest you check out part 1 first, so that you're not lost. With that, we're jumping right back in with issue 2. We flash forward to the next morning, with Kathy waking up and making her way to the bathroom, where Stanley is, and as she opens the door for a brief instant, she sees the terrifying visage of the Mask and slams the door. Scared shitless, and rightfully so. Look at this art. I'd be shitting bricks too. Stanley comes to the door and, noticing her terrified demeanor, asks her if there's something wrong, to which Kathy says, "Wrong? There's a monster in there." Stanley acts oblivious, saying, "Monster? I thought you weren't mad at me anymore," giving a shrug. She insists that she saw some kind of monster in the bathroom, but Stan just says she must have been dreaming. If there was one, he'd surely have noticed it, as he holds a beer in his hand. Probably an alcoholic too, Comic Ipkiss. Meanwhile, in the background, the news is reporting on the police issuing an all-points bulletin for a masked madman. We cut to 7:10 a.m., where we end up finding out the bikers were not the only ones the Mask brutalized the night prior, but one other location, probably meaning tons of other casualties and 2 other people, and he still has one other location and 2 more people on his little kill list. All the while, Kathy is asking Stanley if he wants to go out for dinner that night, but he's just ignoring her as he clips out an image of what I assume is Lewis Winston from the newspaper. As she hollers his name one final time, we see he's dressed in some military getup as he shouts at her to shut up. And rightfully so, Kathy is not having it, storming into the room as an argument ensues. It builds until eventually Stanley bolts up, about to strike her, before he stops himself suddenly and begins leaving, Kathy calling after him as he grabs the mask on his way out. As she asks about that, he snaps back, "I bought it." And can I just say, that is such BS. I have heard and seen countless situations where someone has bought something for another person, supposedly, when they really bought it for themselves. Granted, he didn't know the mask could do all the crazy shit it just did the night before, but it doesn't change the fact that this is such a cruddy move. So, how about another movie difference? You see, in the film, the mask can only be worn and work at night, but we suddenly cut to that one last location on his list, Yorkie's Mufflers, at 8:34 that same morning, where a couple of mechanics are chuckling over ripping off Stanley Ipkiss, breaking into laughter before they hear a small ahem. And when they look up, there stands the mask. "I'm not going to pay a lot for this muffler." Before we suddenly cut again to 9:53 a.m. at a school called Fred Willard Elementary, where we see a kid struggling to spell a word and being laughed at before the teacher asks if someone else wants to try. The mask steps up, saying, "Sure, fatso, I'll give it a shot," as he chomps a banana before tossing the peel to the floor, to which the teacher complains, "I don't know who you are, but you'd better pick up that garbage." The mask responds, "If you insist, Mrs. Gotso," one of the other names on his list from earlier, and he proceeds to pick her up. "Put me down this instant," Gatso shouts. "Make up your mind," answers the mask, as he just drops her onto the floor, injuring her as she pleads the kid for help, saying she thinks something's broken. But the mask finishes her off by shoving his shoed heel down her throat, her eyes bulging out of their sockets. God, that is fucking brutal. So after that, he rises, asking the kid, "Now, Jimmy, can you spell dead meat?" As Jimmy and the rest of the class remain still and silent in shock and horror at what they've just witnessed. Well, that's enough for today, wouldn't you say? Class dismissed. The mask pipes up, and the kids waste zero time getting as far as fucking possible from this lunatic. Single frickin' file, children. Yeah, right. 10:46 that morning, back at Yorkie's Mufflers, we join the police, particularly Lieutenant Mitch Kellaway, at the aftermath of what the mask did to the 2 poor men. The first victim is hanging up by a chain wrapped around him, going into his mouth with a bunch of tools just jammed into his skull, while victim number 2 has that muffler the mask was holding, yeah, get this, shoved down his throat. How? Holy fuck. The cop telling Kellaway all of this also tells him they had one witness who saw a, quote, weird-looking guy with a big head, to which Kellaway reacts, "Not him again. Who is this maniac? Why is he doing this? Why'd he choose my town?" And just as he says this, he is notified of the happening at Fred Willard Elementary. Super. 12:17 p.m., the mask is now just casually strolling along on a sidewalk when he comes across a couple of bullies pressuring another kid for his lunch. "Please, leave me alone," the poor kid says before the mask interjects, "Didn't you hear the kid? Cut the crap," siding with the bullies. The bully kid asks him what's wrong with his head, to which the mask says, "Why, there's nothing wrong with my head," before bashing him on his with his fist, saying, "What's wrong with yours?" And as he walks away, the kid he bashed gets one of those pink cartoon lumps with little birds around it on his head. So cute. Shortly after, he arrives home, coming across Mrs. Kellaway, the lieutenant's mother, and just casually says hello as the mask, but because she doesn't have her glasses on at first, he has ample time to take the mask off as she puts them on to get a second look and greet him back, thinking to herself, "Such a nice boy, that Stanley." Oh my lord, if you only knew, madam. Stanley gets in and plops into bed, mask in hand, promising to himself he'll become a superhero the very next day. 5:28 p.m., while Stan is fast asleep, Kathy gets home and snatches the mask from his sleeping hand, blaming it for Stan's radical change in behavior, so she proceeds to throw it out. A little later, as Kathy cooks dinner, Stanley wakes up and comes into the kitchen. "Smells great, babe." Kathy instructs him to have a seat, saying she wants to talk to Stanley about something, but immediately, like an addict, Stan asks where the mask is. Kathy tries to continue the conversation, but he just asks where the mask is again. One more time, Kathy tries to talk with Stan, but he snaps at her. "Kathy, where is the mask?" Finally, she answers, telling Stan that she threw it out. "What? Where is it? I gotta get it. How could you do this to me?" He panics. "Stanley, look at yourself. Look at how you're acting. You've changed so much. The books, that weird list of names, the way you talk, the way you act. I feel I don't know you anymore. That mask was a present to me, but I didn't want it anymore, so I threw it out. Is that thing more important than me?" Kathy tries to reason with him, and we see that it's, at least in some regard, working, as Stanley thinks to himself that she's right, it's changed him a lot, and that it's gotten out of hand. Besides, I already got everyone on my list. Step in the right direction, I guess. Stanley tells her that she did the right thing and that maybe he's got some unresolved anger, to just give him some time and that he'll be okay, to which Kathy agrees, and they proceed to go have dinner. After dinner, Stan goes to watch some TV, and not too long after, Kathy hears him cackling like a maniac. When she goes to look, he's laughing at the murders of the two men at Yorkie's Mufflers, specifically the one with the muffler down his throat, and then proceeds to mutter, "Oh, nuts, I forgot about McWhirter. That SOB owes me $60. And with that, Kathy has had enough. She yanks him close by his collar and growls, "That's it, you sick pig. Get out of my apartment and out of my life." Stanley pipes up, Okay, if that's the way you feel. But let me just say this one thing, okay? Can I have the mask back?" And then is promptly booted out the door. On to issue 3, later that same night, we see Kathy on the phone with a friend, and that she didn't actually throw out the mask at all. She does still like it, and now, quote, without Stanley around to obsess over it, she feels safer having it around. Meanwhile, literally downstairs, Stanley is digging through the trash trying to obtain the mask again, but of course doesn't find it, and he knows Kathy still has it. And just as he looks up to the window to her apartment, the light goes out. "Ah, what timing," Stan slyly says. He somehow manages to actually climb up the gutter pipe without the mask and make it halfway through the bathroom window before it slams down on his back, and he lets out a screeching yowl, which in turn wakes up Kathy, who immediately calls the cops and arms herself with a lamp as Stanley begins to creep his way through the apartment. They do eventually encounter one another, and Kathy smashes the lamp over Stan's head, knocking him out. And just as she realizes that it's Stan, the police finally arrive. She greets them at the door and fills them in, saying it's just a mistake, it's just her boyfriend. And as Kathy has this interaction, Stanley wakes up and manages to find the mask and put it on, just as Kathy finishes filling the cops in, and he shouts at the cops to get the hell out of their house in the mask's voice. Naturally, the cops ask what the fuck that was, and Kathy tries to brush them off, calling him a joker. Inside, the mask stands ready with a bat, snarling, "That's right, honey, and I've got a great joke to tell you, so come back here, okay, sugar?" The cops get to fully hear the voice this time, and say that doesn't sound like a boyfriend. In fact, it doesn't even sound human. To which Kathy tries to defend Stan again, but the cops are not having it, and as one of them look inside, the mask knocks him out with another lamp, saying, "Oh, I'm terribly sorry. I thought you were the girl. Well, I hope this teaches you to mind your own business." The cop who came in behind his partner then opens fire on Stan, pumping him full of lead, but all the while he just stands there asking, "What would Billy Jack do in a situation like this?" Which, after looking up just what the hell Billy Jack is, it's some kind of Western movie. I've never seen it, so forgive me not understanding the reference. So now, the living cop, seeing his bullets have done zip and zilch to the mask, just stands in shock and awe as Kathy begins to ask a bunch of obvious questions. Who are you? Where's Stan? Etc. While the mask just digs around in his coat pocket for something, responding, "You forgot why didn't those kill you? That one really cracks me up. Ah, here it is." And he pulls yet another lamp from his jacket, turning to the officer who riddled him with bullets, who is now reloading and saying, "Excuse me, officer, but before you waste any more bullets," and knocks him out with that lamp, then proceeding to ask Kathy for a beer. Oh, you think the chaos here is over? Ha! Nah. As the mask cracks open and takes a glug from a cold boy, the first cop that was knocked out wakes up and hits him over the head with somehow another fucking lamp. "This has just got to stop," the mask grumbles as he reaches into his jacket pocket once again. "Thanks for the use of your guns, boys," he shouts, now brandishing a pistol in each hand. He kills the first officer. "You killed him! Oh my god, you killed him!" "Hey, do not blame me. You're the one with all the lamps." "Hey, what's going on outside?" The mask looks out the window to see that backup has finally arrived. What with all the shooting and such. Before long, a whole herd of cops are struggling their way up the stairs trying to get past one another, and soon they come across an old lady who points them toward the 5th floor, and it's only after they get past her that one of them asks, "Am I imagining things, or did that old lady have a beer?" "Oh, boys! Catch!" the mask says evilly while holding a rocket launcher on his shoulder. But before we get to see what happens, we go to the outside of the apartment where 2 other officers sit in a cruiser, bickering over who's going to stay with the prisoner in their car, when suddenly the apartment explodes from inside. "I'll stay with the prisoner," the 2 officers shout in unison. So it looks like it's dick measuring time. Meanwhile, inside, the other cop that was knocked out has woken up and is going out to try and stop the mask himself for the sole reason of possibly getting to sleep with Kathy for, quote, being so brave. What a dick. And as he rushes out, one of the approaching officers from downstairs shouts, "Look! That cop didn't come in with us! It must be that big-headed thing in disguise again!" And another shouts, "Let's get him!" "No, wait!" the surviving officer cries before he's riddled with bullets by his fellow cops. Wow, I am saying riddled with bullets a lot, aren't I? And forgive me. Instant karma. But then one of them asks, "Hey, Sarge, didn't you get blown up by that bazooka?" "Oh, yeah." "You guys are just too clever for me," the mask shouts as he rips off the fleshy disguise and slaps them all in a row and books it, taunting them all the way, heading for the roof. One of the officers there, Officer Passel, radios this in to fellow officer Ames and asks if he called downtown, to which Ames says he did and that Lieutenant Kellaway wants to speak with Passel. Calloway gives Passel a good job, asking if there's any civilians hurt, to which Passel responds, "No, sir, only cops. But I will tell you something, this guy is not going to be easy to catch." "Don't worry, officer, I came prepared," the lieutenant answers. On the roof, the mask continues to taunt the police. "Give up, suckers! You can't hope to nab me. When I'm here, I'm there. When I'm upstairs, I'm downstairs. When I'm in the front, I'm in the back. When I'm alive, you're dead." And suddenly, from behind, Calloway barks, "That's it, mister. You're finished. I'm checking you out." "Oh yeah, pal? You and what?" The mask starts. As he turns around, he sees a long line of officers with their weapons trained on him. "Men, fire at will." And they do, the mask panicking. "Hey! They said fire at will, not me!" But they keep on shooting. "Yeah! Somebody just hit me in the eye!" And eventually, they shoot him so much he comes tumbling right off the edge of the building, plummeting straight for a squad car. But naturally, the mask stops himself Looney Tunes style with the feet air brakes, and hops off the car and proceeds to steal it, the prisoner in the back all the while screaming, "You can't let this lunatic monster take me! It's unconstitutional!" As the mask drives off, he chucks a grenade out the window behind him. "I wonder how much one of those chucks costs. Gee, it's fun to be a cop. Say back there, let's say we go cruise some chicks." With that face, buddy, not a damn chance. Bookmark in time. Wow, what a fucking insane ride it's been so far, huh? Trust me, it only gets more nuts. But you'll have to wait for part numero 3. Of course, in the meantime, leave a little like and a sub, hammer that bell for when our next part drops. Discuss your thoughts in the comments, and remember, stay weird. Peace.